Okay, this will be the third of three presentations to present and discuss the new SWA Branding and Identity package that has been put together by Sagmeister Walsh, New York City. I'm hoping this will be about 30 minutes, including Q&A. If it goes a little bit longer, we'll let it extend out a little bit. This presentation really is the culmination of the efforts of a lot of people, including the executive committee, who has met with Sagmeister and Walsh on a number of occasions. And Sagmeister and Walsh has also visited a few of our offices to gather input, ideas, and develop a point of view that they feel could really spark ideas for them and their process. So let me just get into it. The diagram you see on the screen is the evolution of SWA's logo over time, from the initial inception to kind of in this gray zone where we are today with IDEA SWA. And then if you kind of look back from that, you can see the red logo has been around for quite a few years, over a decade. And then you look further back, you can see kind of it was a very simple text-based logo. Kinder put this one together. I think maybe we enhanced it a little bit, but it shows the proliferation of red logos in the design community. You can even see there's another SWA logo at the bottom. That's a real architecture firm in Pasadena, and sometimes we get RFPs that were meant to go to them, and I think vice versa. They get landscape RFPs. But I think what the message here is that the logo has served us well, but it has also become something that is quite ubiquitous, and we wonder about that a little bit. And certainly, Sagmeister and Walsh developed an opinion about it as well. This presentation really is a fusion of two presentations that they have delivered to SWA. One is about branding, the other is about guidelines. So we condensed them into one presentation, so it's a little bit more succinct and hopefully more clear. The first thing that Sagmeister and Walsh did was to develop a list of attributes that were assembled by SWA and given to them. So we were asked by Sagmeister and Walsh to describe ourselves within three attributes. We ended up with four, and they are design-driven, personal, fearless, and adaptive. And combined, these attributes, I think, not only describe who we are, but I think it talks about aspirations and what we would like to be as a world leader in landscape architecture and great designers building great projects. So this became the foundation for their design process. Everything that you'll see from here forward hinges on these four words. So you have to keep that in mind as I go through this. The logo, which to them is important, but it should be something that is part of an environment of graphics. So it's not just a standalone logo that is part of a family of products that work together to establish our brand identity. They look to earth, water, and air as a point of inspiration for their design process, thinking about the kind of work that we do and the kind of materials and context that we work in. They felt that the result of that logo should be something that feels design-driven, projects first, it's innovative, it's a creative logo, and that it's a delightful logo as well. And so this is what they would like to put out there in the world for SWA. This would be our logo. It is a custom font called Pressura. It's designed by a Swiss firm. We own the entire alphabet, bold, italic, normal fonts. This particular font, they spent a lot of time talking about the finer aspects of fonts and what they mean, and I would say that they made a comment about how the W is a little lower in the center, along with the lowercase makes it distinctive, but also creative and approachable. Those were some of the words that they have used in the past. But they really didn't stop there. They kind of felt that this was the first step and that there's more to it. And they started exploring how earth, water, and air could start to create dynamic logos for SWA, and to that extent, being adaptive enough and personal enough for you to be able to program it yourself. So they have a software program that they've developed that they've given to us where you can plug in your own metrics, your own inputs, which could then result in a variety, an infinite variety of logos. And maybe, Paul, if you could bring up the 3 examples that they've shared with us.
So these are standalone programs that they've created that act as a sort of interface to interact with the logo itself as a reactionary thing, and they've programmed it with controls that can be sort of modified by an individual user. So this is the water one, and then there is one they're calling Earth. It has these kind of textural elements. And then a wind one that has a kind of reactive nature to both scale, environment, and position of mouse. All of these are like tweakable, so you can change different parameters and they'll react in different situations.
And so these dynamic logos again came about from those attributes where we think of ourselves as being adaptive and that we're also very personal in our work, and so this in their minds would express that kind of individuality. And the application of these are somewhat endless, but they did talk about how it could be used on our home page, so that when somebody arrives at swagroup.com, you may encounter one of the 3. You might even interact with the water one if you visit the website. And then, as you'll see later in this presentation, other applications for it. So let me go back to the presentation and keep moving along. The color palette that they've decided on is primarily a black and white color palette. They feel it's bold. They like the contrast. They feel it's sharp and distinctive. And then a secondary color palette of orange and blue would be added based on certain applications, like a proposal divider page or the edge of your business card, which I'll show you examples of that. The typography, again, is ET Preserve Bold, so it's a custom font. We own the whole family, and they feel it's, again, something that registers well on posters, at text, letters, emails, well, not emails, but the email signature. And then for printed applications and brand collateral, the important business card, they feel that the dynamic logo would be on the back side of the card. This would be something where if you wanted to order cards, you would get an order form from your office manager, and you can select any number of iterations of each earth, air, water, or the base logo, which is a non-static version. That would be on the back side, solid black with white. And then on the face of the card, the front, it would be all business, your name, your title, address, and then, of course, as you can see on the screen, a static logo on the bottom right corner. juxtaposed to the dynamic one on the back side. The edge would also be an option for everyone in the firm. You could choose a white edge, a black edge, orange, or blue. Again, as a way of personalizing your own identity, giving a business card to a client. It's kind of a part of you also. And then the letterhead has a few options. If you wanted to, say, write a formal letter to a client and wet sign it, you would put this into your printer, and it's already pre-printed with a black border and a black backside with, again, either the air, water, earth, or static logo, and this would be that option. If you wanted an option that did not have the black border, this is what it would look like. Again, it would be a pre-printed item. And then we also have the option of names, principal names, on the left-hand side. So this is what that would look like. And also, before I move on, if you did not want any black borders or you didn't want a black side on it, this would be purely digital Word document, and you could print it on any printer. Your clients can print a PDF, and this is what it would look like. So we wouldn't mess around with trying to put a black border on something somebody might print in a printer because it won't look right. The project PDF, I think what's important here is the logo on the bottom left-hand side and the use of orange as a way of creating some accent on it. The final layout of imagery will be developed further by Paul Waby, SWA's graphic designer, and so he'll work on a framework for that so that it's more in tune with kind of how we use it. The email signature, there's two options. The first option is what you see here, which is an embedded gift file. And because it's a gift file, it would actually have a dynamic logo moving in it. I think a lot of us have seen those. You know, they're kind of interesting. You may have questions as to whether or not it would work if it got forwarded 5 times. Sagmeister and Walsh tested it. They said that it works on all platforms, iPhones, Samsung Galaxy, desktops, PC, Mac. So you have that option. If you don't care for a gift file, they have also provided us guidelines to use a universal font that closely resembles the GT Persura font. And Paul and I have looked at it, and it looks pretty good. You know, squint your eyes, and it'll be something that lives within the body of email. So there's 2 options there. Sagmeister and Walsh also looked at a PowerPoint slide. What you're seeing here is a transition slide. What we need to work on is what the front PowerPoint cover would look like, and then what a standard page would look like. But from what you can see here, they're starting to develop a family of different products that we can use in our professional practice. And then Fearless. Fearless to them, I think, translated to these little sayings here. They felt like, what if we had a campaign where we came up with these, little interesting sayings, good is not enough, what's stopping you? Maybe it ends up on a button or a T-shirt or a pencil. But I also think to them, fearless means not being afraid to put our name out there in the world in a kind of playful way. And then the website is very important. We'll need to update our entire website with this new identity, but the first step would be to, at minimum, update our homepage, the splash page, as some people say it, and it would have the dynamic logo in one of the 3 iterations. Again, so that depending on when you log into the site, you might get air, earth, or water. And so this is being worked on now. We hope to have a a beta test with it hopefully in the next 5 days or so. Then the insight pages are, again, still being developed. We're working with them currently. These are very early draft concepts. But one big takeaway from Sagmeister and Walsh was the idea of making video a bigger part of our projects. When clients look for a project, the first thing that they'll see is a video of that project. So, for example, maybe we identify the top 40 projects at SWA, and all 40 of those would have some kind of video that would orient the client, tell them a little bit about the project, and then they would also have the photographs to supplement that project. And we all know that we've been doing a lot of video lately, so I think there's a direct application for that. And then finally, what I'd like to do is kind of end with something that Stefan Sagmeister and Jessica Walsh have repeatedly expressed to us, that SWA is and this is Sagmeister, Walsh, and Walsh talking, that SWA is the wine, we're the content, and Sagmeister and Walsh is essentially designing a glass for us. And so the two work together. And the other thing that they always remind us is that it's not important for us to try to design a logo based on how we see ourselves. It's more important how the world sees us. And that's what Sagmeister and Walsh has tried to do. They've tried to create a brand identity that is distinct with our own aspirations, and more importantly, how the world would see us when they first interact with our identity and our logo. And so I want to leave it with that. I'll stop pouring the wine because it's too early in the day, at least in the United States. Well, in California it's too early. Maybe in Texas you guys could start pouring the wine. But if you guys have any questions or comments, let's talk about it. Let's see if we could bring this into some more clarity if we need to. Maybe go back to the logos, the static logos. Okay, any questions or comments or thoughts?
Yes, Goro, this is Iga from Laguna.
Iga, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, I like most of them. Only I have a concern is about the black line box, the letter format. I don't know if, I guess just speak myself, Chinese is too superstitious. The client probably has some kind of attitude, maybe reacting to the black board, black box.
You could use this one.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Sagmeister and Walsh wanted to incorporate some flexibility in how we use the letterhead. To them, the box is kind of an accent to either have it or not have it. I think it really depends on how you want to use it. I know for me, if I were to write a proposal, I might use the black frame because I feel it's kind of bold and maybe it's interesting. And but maybe on other occasions, if it's just an everyday kind of letter, I may use this one, no border. So you definitely have that option.
Do we have the flexibility to go with the secondary colors? You mentioned an orange and a blue. Can the border and the logo be orange or blue?
I would say no, and I'm speaking on behalf of Sagmeister and Walsh. They were pretty clear as to what this letterhead should be, that it should be this black backside, black border, and then if you didn't want anything, it would be just all white. They wanted the accent colors to primarily be associated with the tear sheet, with the little accent there on your email address, the PowerPoint slides, and other more, what they felt was more secondary types of uses, including the business card, right? They thought it could be a nice element to place there, but on the letterhead, I think they wanted it to be kind of standard and consistent.
So for logo itself, there's no other option to pick. You guys just narrow down to just one kind of font and
So what they have provided us with, this is the logo. This is the new logo. This is what will appear on everything. And if you wanted to use earth, water, or air, they have provided us with, I think, 20 iterations of each of these. So 20 iterations of air, 20 iterations of water, and earth. And then maybe after we've kind of settled into this, we may be able to have people experiment with the actual software and allow you to develop a completely unique logo all on your own. But we'd like the first step to be somewhat guided by basically an order form, where you would select from a number of iterations of these. I hope that makes sense.
Does it appear that the generative fonts become unlegible?
In some views, let's see, like this one here, I think it all depends on how it's placed, the angle, I guess. All of them, to some extent, become dynamic, and so in that sense could become illegible, but I think that was Sagmeister and Walsh's, that the font could interact with another force, earth, air, and water, and therefore making it kind of that dynamic element.
Guriel.
So this is like a really, sorry. Go ahead.
Guriel, this is Dick. I have a question about how it seems like a very complete and very interesting program, and a whole palette of materials and images and things you can use to put together, and it works in an overall sense in almost everything we do that's, in terms of letters and graphics and marketing and all that. But it's a pretty complete program, and it looks like it's going to take some real skill to be able to use all these tools. And I'm wondering how people are going to develop all that. How is it going to be run in the offices? Seems like you need some sort of a leader who helps in each office.
Right. That's a good question, and it's an important one. We have developed a one-page set of guidelines, what you could do, what you cannot do, what are your options, everything from ordering a business card to ordering letterhead to being able to manipulate it. We've established a draft set of guidelines that we will distribute to all the offices. So every office manager would try to provide oversight on this so that there's consistency. And then from a firm-wide perspective, Paul Waby, sitting behind me here, will be kind of the policeman who will make sure that everybody has what they need and that he can answer questions relative to, setting up, say, an email signature or, using a dynamic font for a business card, and how to select them, how to order them. And then also the fine-tuning of tear sheets and PowerPoint slides and all of those things. Paul Waby here in the LA office will be that point person. Myself, Scott Cooper, and Kinder, and to a lot of extent the EC will provide kind of an overall umbrella if things start to kind of, get a little questionable. We'll make sure that we put everything in order and it's organized, and I think we want everybody to be clear on how we intend to use the new logo.
Okay.
Is there a date when we're all going to start transitioning this? Like when we use the email signatures and the letterhead, is there a certain date when this goes live?
We are, we're right in the middle of reviewing a homepage by Sagmeister and Walsh. We feel that the homepage, our business cards, our email signatures, and our letterheads need to more or less align with each other and be rolled out at the same time. And we think we might be, I don't know, I don't want to overpromise something, but I'm hoping within a week or 2 weeks we could have all of those items in alignment. It's possible that we might be able to get the email signatures out sooner, because I think it's a little bit more subtle and easier to implement. And so since this is the third of the three presentations, following this presentation, I'll send out an email that has the guidelines attached to it, as well as a more defined schedule of when we could start to use these different products.
So I'm assuming this comment's going to be super late in the game, but looking at the primary logo, the facets where it looks like the letters have been chamfered on the edges make the logo reminiscent of programming fonts like MS-DOS or TrueType typefaces, and that all seems kind of dated and also a little fussy. But I guess this is pretty much locked in, so that's not a helpful comment at this point. Is that true, or is this like where we're going?
This is where we're going.
Okay. And the second comment is, it seems like it's the fanciest logo in the entire industry for landscape architecture in terms of the whole package. And do we want to communicate that we're that concerned with image?
I would say that it kind of goes back to Stefan and Jessica in their comments about it's not so much how we see ourselves and how we might design a logo for ourselves, it's more how the world might see us. And so in that sense, we sort of remove ourselves from that process and put trust in our consultants. And when you look at the work that has been completed by Sagmeister and Walsh, it's incredibly fresh and different, and they have a strong reputation in the industry for developing brands and identities for small companies and multi-corporation international companies. And so on one hand, I think even within the principal group, we had a lot of debate about, maybe it should look like this, maybe it should look like that, maybe we should keep the box. But at the end of the day, we really had to trust the consultants to deliver on this. And I think the consensus is very supportive of what has been presented today. And I think there will be more criticism, but it's kind of something somebody said the other day on one of these calls, where sometimes when these automobile companies come up with a new design, at first it's kind of shocking and nobody likes it, but after a year or so, it becomes kind of sharp and fresh. And so maybe it's one of those things where, we kind of have to let it settle in, get accustomed to seeing it in a different way and in a different context, and maybe, and so over time it could be something that's more readily absorbed.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, thoughts, criticisms?
Hey, Gerdo, it's Renee again.
Hey, Renee.
I'm following up a little bit on Chris's comment. One of the comments yesterday is that this doesn't feel classic or timeless like the red square did. And, for me, my reaction is it's about time. It's about time that we did something that was different for SWA. And I would just encourage people to, that's a great image to have up there, that are uneasy with, kind of the live nature of this logo, to let it sit in and look at it for a little while, and then thinking about looking at another one of these red squares and see which feels more comfortable to how our studios actually work. Because the thing that I like about it is that it is alive, it is different. If it's groundbreaking for the profession, that's not a big deal, because landscape architecture doesn't do many groundbreaking things, really. I think it is about being courageous and just trying something. I mean,
it's thinking outside the box.
Yes, literally.
Literally.
Literally. Yes.
In the middle of that square is the SOM logo, and really that's what we patterned ourselves after for the last 50 years. That's kind of been our image, or at least we thought it was. So I think it's time for a change.
And that might even be an old SOM logo. The SOM logo now is just it's just a font with no box around it. It kind of harkens back to the late '60s. If you look at this diagram.
Yeah, that's true. It is.
And maybe it's a modern, timeless, historic precedent. I don't know. I like it. I think it's fresh and different, and I think it also connects with maybe a younger sensibility, younger generation. I know the feedback I've gotten from some of the younger staff who've only been in our office for a month have been really receptive to it. They feel pretty excited about the branding and the identity. And when you think about it that way, they have no connection to the logo. To them, it's always been about our work, what we design, what we build, what we talk about. To them, to the ones who've just been here a month, they're just like, hey, it looks great, it looks fresh, different, like it, love it, it's great. And then they're back to their desk, doing work. And so there's going to be a lot of points of view, and I'm a big supporter of what Sagmeister and Walsh has done for us.
How long do you think this, what's the lifespan of something like this in their opinion? Because you don't keep it forever. I mean, it's really fresh and new and different now, and experimenting with it and all that is really going to be kind of fun and challenging, but you don't keep anything forever. So what is the lifespan of something like this?
I don't think we've ever had that discussion with Sagmeister and Walsh. And I don't know why. There's no reason why we haven't had that discussion. I think it's hard to say, I guess. When you look at where we've been, I don't know if we've ever had that conversation. Like when we did this logo, this red one here, I think that logo happened when I first started at SWA in I think it was 1996. Yeah, okay. So it's 1996. And I didn't really think about how long that logo would last. It just sort of, I think questioning the logo happens when the designers and thinkers of the firm start to question it. So let's see what happens. Yeah, maybe we'll be questioning it seriously in 2 years or maybe in 10 years. Who knows?
Well, all the previous logos have been kind of almost a direct evolution of the last one. And this is a kind of a departure, which is an interesting one, but it's something that it could be that it just starts to evolve after a while, and changes are made, and it doesn't have some point where you just suddenly scrap it and do something totally different. But it's hard to say.
Right. And a lot of it will be driven by the next generation of leadership at SWA. I think we've always been a firm that has really looked to the generations of leadership for direction, for ideas, and I think we'll continue to be a firm that stands behind that kind of thinking.
Well, definitely what we are today is not what those old logos say, I think. So it's really timely.
Any other thoughts? Feel free to send me an email if you'd like. Again, I'll send a little summary. I'll attach some guidelines and offer a schedule after we get off this call, and continue to make sure that I respond to any concerns that anybody has. And again, Paul Wavy, will be the point person that will communicate with each office to make sure you guys have all the assets included in this branding package. The logo, the fonts, the font family, all those little details. Okay?
Great.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Thanks, Colonel.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, talk to you later.
Bye.